Hello, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. We are almost completely finished with reading A Guide for Lightworkers by Archangel Michael, channeled and written by Saratoga Ocean. We're going to be starting chapter 20 tonight, so I think that just leaves one more chapter after that and we will be done. So before we get started, let's just take a moment to set our intention, as usual, to take this information in with our hearts rather than with our minds, okay? And I do apologize. I was outside earlier and my allergies are driving me crazy, and I'm going to try really hard not to itch my eyes. So I apologize for that. That's why my glasses aren't on tonight, because I think I wouldn't be able to see. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on chapter 20, Conclusion. So here we are, my dearest friends, at what we shall call the conclusion of this discourse. Now, this may seem unusual since there is indeed one more chapter to go, but conclusion in this sense means something different than what you are used to. In this case, we are referring to an opportunity to assemble all the understanding that has been provided here and allow it to synthesize in your consciousness. The purpose of this synthesis is to provide you with an opportunity to make a powerful shift to an entirely new level of consciousness. In other words, we wish to offer you an opportunity to move your being and your consciousness to an altogether new platform, one upon which you have never resided before. You have spent many thousands of years trying to resolve the duality produced by the first original lie. The lie called, I am not infinite, I am not eternal love, and ultimately, I am not God. Have you realized by now that there is no resolution to this duality? There is no amount of time that will pass, no amount of trying, no amount of good deeds, and no amount of finite love that will eliminate the problems caused by the phenomenon produced by this first original lie, and all the physics that it manifests. That is not meant to exist as a negative idea. It literally describes what you have been collectively living for as long as you have been aware of human existence on planet Earth. Let us discuss where your mistake has been and how you can correct it. With all sincerity, you have tried with all your heart to bring enough love into this world to somehow ally the suffering that exists here. There is certainly nothing wrong with that, and without question, it is much appreciated and needed by all. We encourage you to continue. But as you witness more and more events overtaking your efforts, you are surely at a place of wanting more. I have come to assist you with understanding what that something more is. Let us begin by clearly identifying the usual perspective that is exercised by those who desire to help. In some ways, it helps to view this situation through a mathematical lens in order to see clearly what is going on. Imagine that you have a board, something akin to a game board. At the center of this board, there is a microscopic black hole. At the center of this hole, there is a strange invisible phenomenon. This phenomenon exists as the source of fear. It is literally an energetic manifestation of the first original lie. This phenomenon creates a field of energy throughout the surrounding platform of the game board. This field of energy immediately distorts the real reality of that board, which is that everything exists as what it is, and turns it into an illusion where everything appears to exist as what it is not. As a result of this, an illusion of duality is created across this entire board. Everything exists in conflict with everything else. All things that exist on this board have to negotiate their existence with everything else. Harmony does not occur naturally since all things vie for their most optimal position of survival. Now, if this board were a planet, there would be people who existed as a part of this overall environment. These people would experience this illusion every single day, and they would watch themselves try to negotiate their ongoing survival and existence as they continue to try to maintain themselves in this environment where they had to continuously prove to themselves that they are what they are apparently not in this illusion. That's a lot. They would experience that life is difficult and painful. Happiness would require tremendous effort because they would have to work at it and remind themselves of it every day. They would have to do affirmations all day long and try to remind themselves to think positively, since the ever-encroaching "I am not" would continuously conflict with that happiness. Somewhere deep inside, they would know that something was very wrong. Happiness should be a given, their hearts would whisper to them. Everyone should be loved. Life should not be so hard. And why do we have to work so hard to maintain joy? They would witness those who could not manage this succumb to the despair of their overwhelming circumstances. Feeling guilty, they learn to pray for those others and do whatever they can to help. Some would make it their life's purpose to bring relief to those who could not withstand the onslaught of devastating circumstances that would enter their lives for some inexplicable reason. Overall, it would be like a constant war of good versus evil. Evil mysteriously seemed to maintain the upper hand as wars raged and people died. Poverty was the global norm, starvation was rampant, disease developed over and over again, and people simply degraded into accepting their fates. Desperate for some explanation in order to maintain their psychological survival, the people would begin to tell themselves stories about how this was really a good thing on some unseen spiritual level. They would be subtly influenced due to the overwhelming influence of their illusion and begin lying to themselves. They would tell themselves that this was really good and that it existed as an opportunity to learn and appreciate that which they did not have. Learning through the negative consequences of our innocent mistakes is necessary and good, they would say. What better way to learn than through the inherent nature of this unusual reality, where positive and negative consequences served as a built-in system of reward and punishment? They would undergo depression and work very hard to find solutions to that predicament, all the while telling themselves that everything was really okay. They just needed to learn to appreciate what they had. Some would say that the hardship was punishment for wanting too much. No one really needs that much, they would say. Guilt would be the word of the day. Some of these people would figure out that this duality and all of its accompanying hardship was being created by something. They would assume in the unconsciousness of their illusion that it had to be their God. After all, they would think, this is all we know. It would therefore be assumed that this was the entire universe of creation. So they would pray to their God for mercy and help. Please make our lives easier, they would say. But what they wouldn't know is that the invisible phenomenon at the center of this board couldn't do anything else but continue to produce more of the same. They would not realize that there could be no other outcome from the first original lie. They would not understand that it was all due to the laws of physics produced by that phenomenon. Yet all the while, their true hearts would be speaking to them. Their true hearts would be whispering that it wasn't meant to be this way. No one should ever suffer and die. God is really infinite love. In their confusion and desperate struggle to survive, they would doubt what their true heart was telling them. Where is the evidence? Seeing none, they would say to themselves, No, this is clearly wrong. I am obviously imagining things, and no good can come out of this feeling. Good thing I was not an actress reading a line, because that would have been horrible acting. They would bury it and go on with seeking ways to balance the bad with the good. They would somehow get by. If that didn't work, there was always lying to themselves. Why not? When you are breathing in an atmosphere of lies, what's the big deal? Lying against your heart is pretty much part of the status quo. It is, after all, the only way to integrate with this illusion. Over time, however, all of these various coping mechanisms would begin to wear thin. War and violence would continue to rage. Poverty and starvation would not abate. Abuse of all living things would continue. The people would begin to pray more deeply as they realized that their excuses, denial, and spiritual explanations were weakening in their effects. They would grow more and more sincere. They would begin to recognize that they really didn't know. The angels would hear. The sincere need for an answer would draw those angels out of their veiled existence in the people's illusion. They would begin to come forth through that veil with their divine hands extended in love. The people would begin waking up as they learned to listen, maybe for the first time, to the quiet song of their hearts. The song would at first seem far away, but the more the people listened, the louder and clearer that song would grow. It was the music of the spheres, a choir of angels, a message from home, their true home in infinite love. But we thought it was far away. The people would be surprised and even shocked that that connection was within them all along. The angels would come and speak to them about their plights. The angels would marvel that the people's questions had changed. No longer were they asking for ways to help them cope. No longer would they ask for the angels to bandage their wounds as they remained on a battlefield that they assumed would never end. No longer were they asking the angels to help them learn to accept the dying of loved ones and ultimately the loss of their own lives. There was a new light emerging in this God-forsaken place, the light of consciousness, the light of truth. The people had been listening for eons to all of the reasons why they needed to be in this predicament. They were tired. They wanted to listen to something else. This is where we are today, my dearest beloved friends. If this example describes your feelings, then we are ready to take you to a brand new platform of evolution. On this brand new platform of consciousness, you can actually see what is really going on here. When you can see the truth of your situation, rather than being mesmerized by the illusion, you will indeed begin to pray in a completely new way. You will find it impossible not to pray for the whole in addition to yourself, because you will realize that it is all the very same situation. Your vision will automatically change, and you will begin to know exactly what you should do. You will understand to set your sights on home, pure and simple. Home is not a physical place that you must travel to in some sort of spaceship that takes you off this planet. It most certainly is not where you go after you die. It is a beautiful place of a reality that is so real, so amazing, so perfect, and so incredibly free. In that place, you breathe only life. There is no such thing as fear because all is known by what it is and never by what it is not. This home is so real that it exposes your current reality as the distant and vague illusion that it truly is. It exposes the dream, the vacantness, where you search for God but never find. We angels are here to help you, but we can only help you to the degree that you sincerely want it. First, you must be willing to listen to your heart. Your heart already knows the truth. It is what keeps you in that home, even now when you are sound asleep. It is important to know that there are not enough prayers in the old world of your previous consciousness, where you merely ask for assistance in coping and in helping others to cope. You cannot possibly cover all the bases of all the suffering, human, animal, earth, and planet. But you already know this because you have tried it so many times. That original source of fear, that original lie, will continue to churn out the same results, no matter how many prayers you pray in this regard. How many prayers you pray. We offer you an opportunity to pray for something else, to pray from a different place, a new perspective. Why is it that we continue to mention prayer? Because prayer exists as your divine right to exercise your infinite will as an extension of omnipresent love. You have not been praying from this place. Instead, you continue to pray from within the dream, as though you are a part of the dream itself. This means that in your mind, in your subconscious need to survive in this illusion, you are sending a signal to preserve the dream and to help you cope. Is this what your heart truly wants? Or does your heart beckon you again and again to wake up? Because none of this should exist in your experience in the first place. We do not expect you to know how to wake up on your own. You are still far too entrenched in the dream. But your heart is now awake, collectively and individually. There is light emerging in your consciousness. The dawn is near. That was a very profound chapter. Very much so. I don't know about you, but I am rethinking some things that I thought I held as my truth. So this book is really making me step back and take a look at some things that I thought I was so very sure of. And I know that there's so many other things I'm so not sure of. But it would be nice to be sure of something, and it would be wonderful and beautiful for it to be this, if this is something that resonates with you. So I hope that you are enjoying this book. I really, truly am as well. And thank you so much for joining me. We have one chapter left, chapter 21, and it is titled Light. It is not very long, so our next video won't be as long. And I'm very, very excited to share my next book with you. It is a subject that is very dear to my heart. I am seeing more and more of it. And I am hoping that it will resonate with you all as well and help you as much as it has helped me. So I will probably my last video of this, I will introduce the book, and we will start a new book, and that we will learn even more together. So thank you again for joining me. I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day or evening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Take care. Till next time. Bye-bye.